Now, in this video, what we want to start doing is getting you to get your head around how to find out information from the code book. What is the best way, if you have a question and you're on this job site somewhere, what is the best way to actually get down to that moment where you can find the correct answer in the code book? The Journeyman test, as far as I understand it, is 60 questions and you have 3 hours to take the test. That means that you have 3 minutes per question on average to get through the entire 60 question test. So, in effect, if you're on the job site, there's no clock there necessarily getting on you and saying you must get this answer very, very quickly. But the reality is that it is possible to look up a straight up uh, answer in the code book. Now, before I go any further, let me say there are some questions that you may have that will require you to bounce around a little bit throughout the code book. But for our purposes here and for the purposes of taking the exam, it's just going to be question that you have and then answer to be found in one place in the code book. So, with that in mind, let me just do a basic step by step of what your process should be. So, let's just say, for example, that you're thinking about something like GFIs. Now, GFIs are pretty ubiquitous, they're all over the place, but sometimes there is questions about where you actually need to put a GFI or where GFI protection needs to be in play. So when you think about that, a GFI is a device. It is a place where you plug something in, but you need to start by thinking very broad. So a GFI is actually part of a branch circuit. So what you want to really know is, oh, do I need to put a GFI in some place like a basement? Well, a GFI is a branch circuit. It's a circuit going to the basement. Should that be in a GFI protected circuit? So when you do that, you begin by going to the table of contents. So step one is go to the table of contents. Step two then is to start looking for what you want. So in this case, you're going to be looking for GFI protection. Now, let me look at my notes here. So GFI protection for a circuit going into the basement. So your keyword is GFI and it's basement. Well, that again is a branch circuit. It's a branch circuit going to the basement. That is it or is it not required to be GFI protected? So you go to the table of contents and then you find Article 210, which is branch circuits. Now let me move this thing out of the way. Article 210 is branch circuits, and when you go to Article 210, you can start skimming through. Now remember, the code book is set up as a gigantic outline. So every chapter has articles within it, and all the articles then have a breakdown in outline form of whatever their content happens to be. So when you go to Article 210, it's called branch circuits, not over 1,000 volts. Well, if you're looking at a basement in an average house, you're not over 1,000 volts, are you? So then you start scanning and you realize pretty quick that Article 210.8, ground fault circuit interruption protection for personnel, has under it it says right here, a listed Class A GFCI shall provide protection in accordance with Article 210.8A through F. The GFI shall be installed in a readily accessible location. So it's talking about where you are to install GFIs. That's exactly what you're after. So you're in branch circuits, you find the bit here about GFIs, and then from there it says 210.8A dwelling units. And then when you read through that list, there's actually 12 points under dwelling units, and point number 5 is basements. Now, while you're at it, you will discover other things. For instance, number 1, GFCIs in dwelling units. The circuits that go to these locations must be GFI protected. Bathrooms, garages, outdoors, crawl spaces, basements, kitchens, areas with sinks and permanent provisions for food preparation, anything near a sink, boathouses, bathtubs, shower stalls, laundry areas, whatever. So as you're looking for the answer, you might find additional information that'll help you out as you go. So basically, it's number one, uh, homeowner says or an apprentice says to you, do you need GFI protection in the basement? Well, okay, that's a branch circuit. Let's go to the branch circuit thing. Oh, there's a whole section here on GFIs. We didn't have to go very far. We're hitting the bold headings as we go. We find ground fault circuit interruption protection for personnel, A, dwelling units, 5, basements. So it's fairly straightforward. Now, again, you have to practice this and practice this and practice this. So in your mind, you think, okay, here's the question. What's a bigger thing? What's a bigger understanding? So another question could be something like, how to find, what's the ampacity of a number 12 wire? Uh, what's the ampacity of a number 12 wire? Well, okay, that's talking about ampacity, and it's talking about the ampacity of a wire. So that would be table of contents. Oh, Article 310. Article 310 is under wiring methods. So let's look at Article 310. The whole of Chapter 300 is wiring methods. General requirements for wiring methods and material. Article 310 happens to be about conductors because you want to know what the ampacity of the wire is. And when you get there, you're probably going to want to then go to Article 310 or the table 310.15, which has all of your wire sizes and then a chart that shows all of your ampacities at the same time. So general rule of thumb is break down the question to understand what it's asking generally. Go to the table of contents and scan through it. Locate the chapter that focuses on the desired category. Find the article pertaining to your specific application, and then go there and then start scanning through that particular article until you come across what it is that you want. I've been in situations where I've had apprentices ask me a question, and I have actually been able to find the answer pretty quick. And part of that is because I'm familiar with the code book. Part of it is because I know how to break the question down and get to the right location. So, having said that, let's look at one more example. Let's look at something like installing track lights. Now, if you want to install track lights, you want to go first, table of contents. When you get to the table of contents, you have to stop and say to yourself, all right, track lighting, what is that? Well, it's a luminary. Well, guess what? Chapter 400 is equipment for general use. Luminaries are equipment. It's equipment that provides illumination. And then when you look at anything in the chapter 4, you get to 410, and it's luminaries, lamp holders, and lamps. Once you get to Article 410, then you can scan through that, and when you get to Part 14, you have track lighting. So you realize quite quickly, it's like, oh, okay, there's sort of a progression of things that we can go through, and then you turn to track lighting, and you can get your answer to whatever it is that you want to know in track lighting. The example that I have here in front of me is whether or not track lights, because it can go behind the curtains, because a customer has asked about, can I have track lighting here in the window that's in between the windows and the curtains? Well, as you go through the code book, you may have to bounce around a little bit, and sometimes the code book will reference other parts of the code. So when you do get to track lights, it might say to you, oh, okay, track lighting needs to be installed according to these parameters. It can't be in a concealed location. Well, it's like, okay, well, curtains aren't concealed. You can move them out of the way. And of course, you're not going to want to put in halogen track lights because they're too hot. You better use LED low profile track lights or something like that. And there's ways that you can work with the customer to keep things within the parameters of safety, which is your ultimate goal. And nothing should get destroyed, and no person should be injured or hurt in the process of using the electrical utility or whatever it is. So all right, so I'm going to include a step-by-step as a PDF, so you can download that and have that in mind with a couple of examples to give you a reference point for how to find information in the codebook.